Hi, I'm Dom Hind, and fuck, I'm nearly 50. Actually, I'm 47 and a month, and I have started the countdown. The thing is, time moves fast. 1 minute you're deep in the hustle, building a career, hitting milestones, feeling like you've got all the time in the world. And then suddenly you look up and think, wait, is this still what I want? That moment of questioning can feel terrifying. I know because I've been there. And today's guest, Talitha Cummins, knows it too. For years, she was a face we all knew, reading the news, delivering the stories that shaped our days. But after leaving Channel 7, she found herself at a crossroads, asking the same question so many of us do. What now? For a while, she didn't have the answer, but then she found herself drawn to do something totally new, The Cut, a fine jewellery brand built on craftsmanship and meaning. And in a way, she was following in the footsteps of her family. Her uncle has run a hugely successful jewellery business in Melbourne, and that legacy of craftsmanship and precision was something she wanted to bring into the modern era. And with that, she stepped into what I like to call Career 2.0, a complete reinvention. But Talitha's story isn't just about career change. It's about total transformation. She's been open with her battle with alcoholism, and she has made the decision to stop drinking and commit to a clean, clear, and intentional life. And that shift has shaped everything from the way she approaches business to the choices she makes every day. I met Talitha through her husband, Ben Lucas, Bender, as we affectionately call him, and I've watched her step into this next chapter with so much purpose and clarity, and I knew I had to have this conversation with her. So let's get into it, because fuck, I'm nearly 50, and isn't it amazing? Some people completely redefine what success looks like for them, and Talitha Cummins is one of those people. She spent years in the media as a journalist and news presenter. Then a decision was made for her. It was time to leave it all behind, and not on her terms. What happens when the career you built no longer fits? How do you start over? And more importantly, how do you find something that actually feels like you? Talitha backed herself, took a risk, and created The Cut, a fine jewellery brand built on craftsmanship, smart design, and giving people a smarter way to buy diamonds. After 12 months in, she's absolutely killing it, reshaping the traditional diamond industry by championing lab-grown diamonds, a more ethical, accessible, smart, and sustainable choice. And the industry is changing fast. Even De Beers, the king of the traditional diamonds, has seen a drop in market cap and profitability as more people realise that lab-grown diamonds are chemically, physically, and aesthetically identical, but without the ethical baggage and the ridiculous price tag. Talitha's own transformation, stepping into sobriety, away from the media industry, and now leading a thriving business reflects smart, intentional choices. It's a story of reinvention, resilience, and trusting your gut. Talitha, welcome to Fuck, I'm Nearly 50.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited. We've already been laughing a lot, so I think it's a warm-up.
And sweating.
And sweating. Yes, that's part of Fuck, I'm Nearly 50. Let me just tell you that.
Now, before we dive in, I want to hear it from you. Can you please introduce yourself in the most Talitha way possible?
Okay. There have been a couple of iterations of Talitha. I've had Talitha 2.0, which was, party girl, crazy, wild, falling asleep in the front yard, passing out Talitha. And then there's the Talitha who started getting her life together and has just at the age of 42 or 3 started a whole new career.
It's amazing.
I have 2 beautiful children,
Yes.
6 and 8 years old, and an amazingly supportive husband.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty happy with where I am now. But I would say that being close to fucking 50 makes me happier because I'm feeling more stable and a lot more sure of myself in this decade.
It's so funny, isn't it? I think when you do get older, you do start to think and feel that who gives a shit? And you've got the confidence to actually back yourself because it doesn't matter. Like, you've got one life to live.
That's right.
You've got to do it.
And you start to do that inventory of, people and of things and you come to this realization that, this is crunch time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the inventory of things is a massive thing. Like, even your jewellery, I think, is a massive thing to look through the inventory and go, okay, do I need it all? Yeah. But now you can't sell it.
And I went, no, you can't sell it, but we'll talk a lot about that. But I went through to our storage because we live in a terrace.
Yeah.
And so we have to have an outside storage. And I looked through on the weekend. I had this whole case full of Louis Vuitton and Gucci and all of these bags that I've wasted my money on for the last, 20 years. And I just thought, wow, it's
a lot of money.
It's a lot of money there.
Yeah, I know. So Justine, who was on the first guest, she sent me a message because she was going through and packing up her life. She sent 120 items to consignment as she was moving. And I was like, consignment, that means they're expensive to begin with. I don't even want to know.
It's concerning, isn't it? The things that we waste our money on over the years.
It is. It's unbelievable.
I feel like luxury in that way is starting to change.
Luxury is definitely. It is. And I know that we will talk about it.
Yes.
But let's talk about your career early on. So you spent years in the media world, a very tough world. When did you realise it was time to move on, and how did that come about?
So I was in the media for about 18 years, working for Channel 7, all up this eastern seaboard, finishing up in Sydney for news reading for Weekend Sunrise. Just briefly, I was always a very shy and anxious young girl.
Really?
So, yes, definitely. Very quiet, very timid. So for me to be in that career in the first place was just a shock for my family. Hi. But when I was in front of that camera, I was able to compose myself and put all of that away and become this different person.
Isn't that interesting?
So and I would say right through until the end of my career, I felt nervous and anxious. And working in the TV industry, you have an earpiece in your ear, and we're coming back from the break, and it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I would always have, if you've ever felt anxious in your life, that tight chest that never left me.
Really?
That whole time.
Wow.
And so for me, it became a performance.
Yeah, okay.
Underneath, I was just sort of a duck treading water. So for 18 years, that was essentially me.
Wow, you must have just fallen in a heap then at the end of it, just from not having to be so anxious.
Well, I fell into a heap. Which time? Hang on. At the age of 33, when with those anxious feelings, I would go home and drink myself into oblivion.
Yeah, right.
I know I'm talking volume bottles.
Right.
Of wine or alcohol or whatever it was a night, and I think I was just in this survival mode and trying to deal with other things in my life. And so at the age of 33, I, exposed to the world that I was an alcoholic. It hit the papers. And
how was that?
Strangely not as terrifying as it would sound. There was sort of something in me which said that I could help people with sharing this message. It was a strange, believe it, I don't know if there's a higher power or whatever's up there, there was some kind of thing that was telling me that this needed to be told to the world. It was bizarre. So anyway, leaving television, that wasn't entirely my choice.
Do you know what? I think it's a great choice after just going through that.
I tried to leave a couple of times over the years, and they said, "Hey, what do you want? We can, do you want a different position? Do you want the?" And so I did those things. But I was 9 weeks into after having my first baby, and I'd said goodbye to everyone on air, and I'm sort of a little bit restricted in what I can say.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I got a call saying that there's been a shuffling of the deck chairs, and would I like to now become a 5 a.m. newsreader instead?
That would work. That would work with a small child. Yes, great.
So that wasn't going to work. I took some further steps and legal action there.
Yeah, which totally understandable.
Yes, and so I was never going to work in the television industry again after doing that. So for a few years, I sort of shuffled around. I did a lot of media consultancy, going into boardrooms and training corporate people to how to speak to the media, which was not fulfilling entirely. We'd have great days with non-for-profit organisations where you can really contribute. And then I jumped around a little bit, did some PR, spent a day at the Weather Bureau in communications, and then I just thought, this is not working.
Yeah.
And so, I just keep talking. Do you want
No, stop. That's amazing. You could have actually helped the Weather Bureau and actually got the weather right and forecasted correct.
I back the Weather Bureau. Forecasting is an inexact science.
Okay,
and they use a lot of. I'm very defensive of the Weather
wow.
Bureau.
Okay, wow. All right. And I can remember your journey going through and, trying to find what was actually right. And we did have a few conversations about it. And this thing kept coming up with your uncle, which I think is amazing. But how did you actually navigate that? What's next? Were you scared that you wouldn't actually find your thing?
I was terrified because people around me seemed to have found their thing or something. My husband still gets out of bed at 4:30 in the morning, jumps out of bed excitedly, looking forward to his day,
But that is just better. That is just him. Let's be honest.
He's just, and then I'd see other people and they were happy in what they were doing and they were fulfilled and they talked animatedly about their life and their job. And I wanted that, but I felt so far away from it at the same time as well. And so my uncle, who has been in the diamond industry for nearly 55 years, kept sort of contacting me and saying, hey, look, I think this would really work for you. The bespoke side of my business in Victoria is going really well. People don't want something off the rack. They want something bespoke made for them. And I think if you opened an office in Sydney, you went to the GAA and studied diamonds, this could really work for you. And I wasn't convinced.
Yeah.
I just thought being a journalist and then selling just seemed so far apart to me. Different skill sets completely. I would have to potentially have an opinion, in sales. And so it took me some convincing, but I did say to him, look, I will do the online component of a diamond grading course with the GAA, and I'll see how I go. So I did that online component, and then I thought, this is actually quite interesting.
What did you do when you were did you have to touch all the diamonds?
Well, I did the online part, and then I said, okay, well, maybe I'll go to London and I'll do the face-to-face practical diamond grading. So went there into the laboratory and, there were 7 or 8 of us in the class, and you have your own microscope and you have your tools and you learn how to basically look at a diamond. They hand you diamonds and grade them from start to finish in accordance with the 4 C's. Really interesting. Also a lot of maths involved and, which I didn't see coming. I did fear that I was going to fail the exam, but I passed that. But I finished that and I thought, I'm not brave enough to open a business of my own. I'm too scared. It's terrifying. What do I know about business? I've always had a business brain. I've got good support around me, but yeah, I just one step at a time, I thought, okay, I'm going to work out a name and then I'm going to work out a strategy. And, these building blocks started to grow and
that anxiety that you had in front of the camera.
Yes.
Do you have that now with selling, or is it just totally dissipated? And
I did to begin with, but the firsts are always challenging.
Yeah.
And then I think with entrepreneurship or having a business, it unearths all of your insecurities. Or
so many,
or anything that you may not be 100% with. I remember handing up my first quote, and I think it was like via email or something, and I was like, okay, he hasn't responded. It's 2 days. I haven't responded. I'm bad. This is not going to work. This is, all of those anxieties.
And it's so hard in that instance where you go, for you, it is the most important thing for you right now. And you put all of your time and all of your energy. But for the person you're giving it to, it's just one of the many things that they're doing.
Totally.
But
John was not worried about the 10-carat tennis bracelet. He was just wanting it for his wife for a few months down the track for his, her birthday. But to you, it's the center of the universe.
It is. And I think, that anxiety would build there.
Totally. But also I love that unearthing of the anxieties as well. And if you lean into them a little bit and you have a great therapist like I do, and I take these to her every week, or I go once a month now.
I do think the anxieties would be different though, because you control these anxieties. Like you are the master of driving the sales, of driving the business, whereas 3, 2, 1 back on air, that's someone else controlling.
It is
a different way.
That's true to a certain extent, but there are things that are thrust upon you in business that, our social media has expanded quite quickly and we do a lot of education online, and the lab versus natural debate is very divided debate. And we've copped a lot of, angry people, abuse in that time, which also unearths all of these other things that you sort of need to deal with as well. So it's been a great personal development year as well.
Starting over is really scary. What were the biggest fears or doubts that came out of it?
Everything was terrifying. What if I fail? What if I, going from what I was doing, there were articles written and things like that. And I came out pretty hard saying, this is what I'm doing and we're going to create the best, So I really put myself out there. And I just thought, what if this all fails and I can't run a business and no one wants to buy? And I was thinking, who is going to want to buy from me? Who?
Yeah.
Like, what if I open the doors and it's crickets?
Yeah.
So,
but it hasn't been. Yeah.
No. Gratitude. But the whole thing is terrifying. But I found breaking it down into a step at a time and just taking action points was just the way that I got through it.
Yeah, and I think it can be so overwhelming, so overwhelming, but it is just about the next step and the next step and the next step.
Definitely.
And it just makes it a little bit easier.
Yes.
Yeah, so much easier. So the cut isn't just a business. It is, as you said, reshaping the industry. Did you always see yourself, even from an early age as an entrepreneur or a business owner, or is this just something that you've, reshaped and moved into?
This has just happened organically, really. Like it's, and I think maybe that's why it's resonating with people, because what I'm doing when I first started in this industry, and they were saying diamonds were rare, and I did a reel and said, diamonds are not rare. most people in the Western world are wearing at least one
Yeah.
on their hand and earrings. And there were all of these things that we had been told over the years that, as a journalist looking into this new industry, I thought, what?
Yeah. Is that actually correct
Yeah.
or not?
Are we, what? Yeah.
Because, I mean, yeah, you can literally say, I want this diamond and this and this, and they will
Yes.
find one
Can
for
you
you.
find me a DVS one,
Yeah.
2.5 carat? Yeah.
And it will
I mean,
be.
there are, of course,
Yeah.
exceptions, but for the engagement ring market and, tennis bracelets, jewellery, fine jewellery,
Mm.
when they're not rare.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, good. Great.
So when I put that reel out, it blew up. It
Yeah.
exploded. Like millions of people viewed, responded.
At how much of it was positive versus negative?
Oh, I would say both.
Yeah, right. So pretty evenly skewed.
Yeah.
And do you think the negativity stems, and I mean, it's funny, like I said to Justin, can I just sell, because I'm not very sentimental, which is
Yes.
probably not a good thing.
I'm
but
with you. Yes.
I'm like, when I die, what, are you going to burn it? Like
Yes.
what's going to happen to it? It doesn't matter. So I said to him, I just want to sell all my diamonds and then I'll just get the lab grown. And he's like, there's not a market and you can't do that. But I think it is, you've spent so much money on these natural diamonds that
Yes.
you feel like there's a price attached to them.
Yeah.
And there's actually not.
And we're learning now that diamonds, the engagement ring variety, and we're not talking 4+ carat natural diamonds, which you can invest in, and that's a different market.
Yeah,
That's a tiny amount of the market. Engagement ring, white diamonds, and fine jewelry. There is no secondary market for them. The best that you can do is take them to a pawnbroker or to an estate jeweler or sell them on Facebook Marketplace. You will get back what someone is willing
to
pay for them. So the illusion that we are going to, you've got this beautiful $50,000 necklace and it's appreciating in value. It's just not true.
Yeah, great.
And that's where the sore point is for a lot of people. And I feel like in the last year and a half, we've been observing through our reels and our feedback and everything, a revolution in what luxury means.
Yeah.
There's the old luxury, overt, displaying our wealth, in that way. And then there's
like the logos.
The logo.
Everyone knows what you got.
Gucci, the big T-shirts. Yes. And now there's a new luxury, which is it's almost like a smarter luxury where people are buying things for themselves for the reasons that they want it and for the reasons that are, important to them.
So what, less show rather than...
Less show and buying something that's meaningful.
Yeah.
But doing it in a smarter way and saying, hey, and this, I have Eloise who is on my page, beautiful Eloise. We use her hands because I've got sausage fingers.
I didn't even think about that, like a hand model. Yeah, okay, great.
At the start, when I was starting to, video diamonds on my hands, I thought, oh, no.
Yes, no.
It's someone else. So beautiful Eloise bought her diamond ring, the engagement off me to begin with. And she was toying with the idea of natural and lab grown. And I think the natural was going to come in around $50,000 and the lab grown around $10,000 or $12,000.
Yep.
And her and her partner thought about it. And then she said to me, no, we're not going to buy the natural because we want to buy a house and we want a deposit. And she said, we're buying a place in Queensland because we can't afford to live in Sydney, but we want to invest our money in a different way, in a smarter way.
Yeah. I totally understand.
And this is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yes. Yes, I bet it is. With backing yourself in business, it's a whole different mindset than having a career. What's been the biggest learning curve?
Because, oh my gosh, I have them daily.
Do you know what? I think when you start your business, everything that you think is easy
Yes.
is actually really hard. And all the things that you think are going to be hard actually tend to be quite easy.
Gosh, that's a really big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The biggest learning curve. Look, I love being in control of my own destiny.
Yeah.
I love being able to change things on a dime, to be able to have impact quickly. If I want to buy something and create a new product, I can do that straight away. That's a really hard question. I mean, I recorded myself last week because I was having a meltdown. We had 7 packages stuck in US customs.
Oh, wow.
And I had no idea about
Donald Trump wanted them?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Before he had some tariffs. And, I just had no knowledge of this area. I had no idea what to do. Shipping consultants are hard to come by. Like you're dealing with problems all the time.
Yeah.
And it's about being resilient
Mm-hmm.
and living through the pain and looking at the problem, compartmentalizing it, and then moving to the next one.
I think that's it. That's a massive one. Like being able to move on and not dwell
on it. And I think business is a battle of wills more so than intelligence. It's persistence, it's resilience, it's waking up again when you just really don't want to go in that day because yesterday was awful, and I kind of like it.
Yeah. It's like Benny getting up at 4:30 every day, again and again.
Totally. Hit me again. It becomes a challenge.
Yeah. What have been the moments where you've thought, fuck, what have I done?
Earlier today.
What, before coming here? Thanks.
No. No, I've had a whole day before I came to see you. But, if we've a particular chain supplier that beautiful, amazing chains that I love so much, not making them anymore, can't get them for 6 months. Tennis bracelet mounts, there's a shortage at the moment because suppliers are not stocking them because the gold price is insane.
Right.
And I don't compromise on the quality of my things. So I need those particular ones. So I have to make the client wait, So these are the challenges that we're facing daily.
Yeah. So even the supply, like it is like the supply chain shortage, but not in construction. Like we've all been told it's in other areas.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And running a business means owning every decision, whether it is the marketing, the sales, the finance and the growth, or everything like logistics, freight, whatever it may be. How have you adapted to wearing all of those hats?
Yeah, there are a lot of hats.
A lot.
Look, I have had some amazing consultants around me, and that is really, I would say, the secret to how we've become successful because I don't know it all and I don't pretend to know it all. But if you can find the people who do know it all, we've now got a shipping consultant. I've got a, designer who is incredible in all of those different areas. I've got someone in HR who I talk to as well. And it's about leaning on other people and experts and extracting that information from them.
Yeah, I think it is. No. I think you're right. Like leaning on other people is a massive thing because if you are naive and think that you do know it all, that's when the problems start.
Yes.
And when you've got so many amazing people around you, if you can pick up the phone and have a conversation and just ask for some help, makes it so much easier.
And that's actually probably leads us to my biggest learning in business so far.
Yes.
Is asking for help
and
admitting that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
Whereas I spent my whole career in television pretending I was okay and I was there and I knew what I was doing. And was too afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
So I was surrounded by some amazing journalists and I just wish if I could look back now that I did ask for help.
And I think it is when you're in control,
Yes.
running the business, it's easier
Yes.
than when you are an employee
Yeah.
trying to ask for the help.
Asking questions is a healthy thing.
Yeah, I love asking a question. Why? So you touched on it before with that smarter choice and why people are now feeling more comfortable going lab grown versus natural. But do you think it is just the money, or do you think it is, you know, that ethical thing, or that it is just one part of their life?
I think it's an ethical consideration as well. In terms of sustainability, we can't say that lab growns are entirely sustainable.
Yeah.
Just like we can't say natural diamonds are entirely sustainable. And I can't, as a journalist, I can't say that. And I don't know whether it's a good or a bad thing about me being in business and being a journalist, but can't bullshit people.
Your sales are going really well. No,
I'm yet. So we may want no. I'm yet to meet clients who come in and say to me, "I want an eco-friendly diamond."
yeah, right.
To be very honest with you,
Yeah. I don't think it even comes into the mindset.
the equation.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
It's essentially, and you know, as my uncle said, it's not about us and what we want to sell. It's about what the client wants. He loves natural diamonds and he's always loved them. But he said, when these bloody things came up, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
You know, like this has revolutionized the industry. But it's not, it's less about the other things and more about, I would say, just the smarter option.
Yeah. And why do you think, or what is the biggest myth about lab-grown diamonds?
The biggest myth? That they're produced in factories in China and just churned out by the thousands.
How do you actually produce a lab-grown diamond? What goes into it?
Yeah, so
Can I give my dog's ashes?
There are companies that are doing that now. And you did ask me if you'd give me a dog's
Justin
ashes.
and I are just debating whether it can happen.
You haven't done it?
No, I haven't done it yet. She's still sitting on our bedside table.
So there are two methods to growing the diamonds. There's HPHT and there's CVD. So high pressure, just to simplify, essentially they get the slice of a very high quality natural diamond, put it in a chamber, and apply high pressure, high temperature for between 2 weeks and 4 months.
And is that based on how big it needs to be?
Well, the rough will grow as big as it's going to go. So once that diamond rough has grown, they then pull it out. They send it to India, where 85% of the world's diamonds are cut, natural and lab.
Yeah.
The diamond is then cut, and then our diamonds are sent to the GIA for certification. So the grading of the diamond to say, you know, its characteristics.
Wow.
And then it reaches us.
And how long does it take to grow, from start to finish? How long is it?
It can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 months.
Oh, wow.
6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's so our diamonds are grown in Dubai.
Yeah.
And then they're sent to India, the GIA for certification. So we know where our diamonds are being grown.
Okay. Good. That's probably a good thing.
It is a good thing, yes. So there is this myth that they're just being churned out. It's a very precise operation.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of, there are a lot of chemicals involved. There's a lot of research. It's a fine art to producing these diamonds.
Yeah.
It's not just set and forget to put a button on.
Okay.
That's probably one of the biggest myths, I would say.
What is your vision for the cut? What do you want to do?
I just have a vision where I want to show everyone what I know now, you know, and that's, these diamonds are incredible. Like at the end of the day, carbon is carbon.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it comes from a lab or a mine, we are talking about pressurized carbon. And it's interesting, the ones that come from the ground and the story that you can attach to it. And that's wonderful. Like there's definitely a market for natural diamonds. But fundamentally, and you being a rational person and not being attached to, provenance, where the stone comes from.
Yeah.
it's a decision, the piece itself is is the jewelry and the person who gave it to you and the meaning behind it. That's what I want to show people. And it's all about the craftsmanship. It's about the diamond as well, but it's about the meaning behind that particular product.
That's an amazing thing to think about, isn't it? What it actually means.
Yeah, because it's not about showing off. There's particular bracelets. Maybe you're wearing one. Yes, you're wearing two. Okay.
Yeah.
That are popular.
Thanks, Jocelyn.
And a lot of people wear them.
Yeah.
And I want to move away from that.
Yeah.
I want to have I like meaningful pieces where the craftsmanship is the king.
Yeah.
My jeweler stays until 3 or 4 a.m.
Wow.
Some days when we've got to finish something, and then I go in and collect it, and still he's so proud to show me. He's an artist, and I get so excited because I love handing something incredible over.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether it's a lab or a natural diamond. It's about what we've created.
Yeah, that is amazing. It is amazing to ask. Okay, I'm going to go back.
Yes.
You've talked enough about the cut. Sorry.
Yes. Can we get more of my business in, please? I could talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so you've been really open about your journey with alcohol.
Yes.
Can you share what led you to making the decision to actually stop?
Stopping. So we got, so I have done an Australian story. There is a half-hour Australian story about it. So
I've seen it, yes.
Not shying away from this topic, but I find it, and it's part of recovery that we speak about it because our stories could be helpful to others who are going through it. And I still get people emailing me. Still, I wake up most mornings and there's a message from someone saying, I'm going through this and I saw your story and it really resonated with me.
Oh, see, so that's like amazing.
That's my life's work. I'm so, I've got goosebumps because that is so important to me to have been able to have that to help other people.
And I think it is really interesting. Justin and I have this debate all the time, or not debate, we just have this discussion how so many mums are turning to having the glass, the 2 glasses, the 3 glasses, the 4 glasses, the bottle a night, and thinking that is not being an alcoholic when in reality, I think, what is it, 2 glasses or 2 glasses a week?
Yeah, so that's the recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a trend where there are more women and more mums who are becoming alcoholics.
And it's because it's acceptable. It's not a recreational drug or an illicit substance. It's available on every street corner, And I was that person. I wasn't a mum at the time, but I was that person who would have 2, 3, 4, 5 glasses until it ended up with 3 or 4 bottles a night, to the point where I was comatose, and and that, of course, that led me to hospital visits and all sorts of really ugly things, but I didn't stop until there was a weekend where I was meant to turn up to work on a Saturday and a Sunday, and I woke up at about 12 o'clock. I'd obviously been drinking the night before, to like 50 missed phone calls. Where are you? And I didn't show up that whole weekend. And then I walked in on Monday morning just feeling a little bit terrified because for the most part I had concealed this from my colleagues. When I say concealed, journalists are big drinkers.
Yeah.
It's like the advertising industry,
exactly.
Lawyers, like a lot of professional industries have that reputation. So my drinking was a bit like a party trick, really. I was the funny one who could be the last man standing up until a point. And then I walked into work that day and my chief of staff sat me down in the boardroom and she just said, she was lovely, she was amazing and very supportive. She just said, "You're not okay, are you?" And that's all she sort of had to say. And my work facade sort of crumbled right there.
But you know what? That's a great question for her to ask rather than attack. Because so many people would have attacked you at that point in time and not given you the chance to actually respond.
Absolutely. And it was that. So prior to that, I had been trying for years to stop. But it was, and they sort of say it's a competing fear that it takes you to change a behavior. So that competing fear was me potentially feeling like I was going to lose my job, although they made it clear at that time that I wasn't.
That time. When okay.
Read between those lines. So that night I went to AA, and I'd already been to AA a number of times. I'd gone to AA and then gone to the pub, and I'd tried to do dry July and, dry August and whatever, and I'd last a week. But I went that night and something kind of clicked in me.
Yeah, wow.
And I then went for 90 days in a row. So we worked, it's when the Channel 7 studios were in Martin Place, Brecky Central.
Yeah.
And so I'd walk down to the Rocks every afternoon, and there was this little downstairs AA meeting, and it was like sort of set in a sandstone room. A lot of business people in there, a lot of people who, come off Navy ships, few high-profile, international singers. But when I walked into that room and these people, whatever they did just didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was all about, we had one common thread, and it was us trying to, get sober and tell our stories, and the honesty, the support that I felt in that room. I wished that society was like that, because I got to experience something truly amazing, and I haven't looked back since then.
See, that's it. Like, it is the support. Like, whether it's in business or even getting through this, if you've got the right support
around you. And there are so many people out there now still fighting that battle. I'm just grateful that I had the self-preservation and that support around me.
And we live in a culture where alcohol is everywhere. Like, it is everywhere we go. Like, I think even when Alfred was crossing the Queensland coast, and before the shops shut down at 7 a.m, the bottle shops were open in Queensland. Like, seriously, like, what is going on? And we both can say that because we're from Queensland.
I do love Queensland.
But and it's especially prevalent in the corporate and social settings. What's been the biggest challenge in navigating this?
I had to change my life. I had to change how I did life. Socializing over dinners now. I find big parties uncomfortable. It still unearths this social anxiety in me. So I find that to be quite challenging. So in that way, I've really kind of, and it took me to grow in confidence with myself to be able to say, that's just not what I do anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not going to live by society's rules of going to the pub and and socializing in those ways. It'll be done differently.
I think I can still remember when Benny told us that he was going, or he went out on a date with you.
Yes.
And he was like, she doesn't drink. What do I do?
Totally.
And I was like,
what do I do?
What do you mean? You need alcohol, like, to get your personality out, Benny. Like, don't tell him I said that. He'll hear it anyway. But like, I can still remember it. And, even back then it was oh, really?
What do you mean?
What do you mean you don't drink? I think it's more acceptable now.
Yes.
Like, even for me, I've had liver issues, and, I definitely did or was partial to a drink or way too much. And it is about, knowing the control. I also think, I don't know for you, but my parents didn't drink when I was growing up. So they didn't actually teach me how to drink responsibly.
Drink properly. Yes, that's a really good point, actually.
Well, because even if you think about it, like, how many kids are actually, like, the parents are just buying the alcohol rather than going, okay, 1 drink will make you do this, 2 will do that, 3 is probably a good limit. And I just don't know whether Like we just say don't drink.
Yes.
But they're going to drink anyway.
They're going to anyway,
So
whether
why
you
not,
like it or not.
Yeah, why not educate them on what it actually means to have that 1, 2 or 3?
And that's a smarter way to do it,
Yeah.
I would say. And I will do that with my kids, for sure, because just because I need to abstain from alcohol doesn't mean that anyone else in my vicinity needs to. You know, it's all about me. It's nothing about them. So, but you're right. If we can educate them in the right way and teach them
how to.
Yeah,
because I just don't think that there's just don't do it versus just that education.
Yes.
And I think if I was educated how to drink properly, I'd probably be a much better drinker. And I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but I'd probably be not like a on or off.
Yes.
It'd probably be, but I don't drink now either. So, yeah.
Oh, you don't drink?
No, my liver does not like it.
Oh, right.
So I will have like one very rarely.
Wow.
But I haven't drank since literally January or, not much.
January this year.
Last year.
I've
only drank to stop drinking since March 25. No, I'm joking.
It's 2 months since January. January last year? I did not know this. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And how do you feel?
Like I feel amazing. Like you do feel amazing. And I do think, at times you go, the fear of God gets to you the next morning going,
yes,
what did I say?
Yes.
What did I do? And not having to think about that, you can actually get on with your day and do something else.
PTSD here of thinking of all of those times. Yeah.
Yeah. And for someone who might be questioning their relationship with alcohol, but isn't sure where to start or where to stop, I guess, what advice would you give them?
Go a month without it. See how you feel. Can you do it? How do you feel? Can you not do it? It's a really, removing something from your life is a good way to examine exactly what impact it's having.
I think that's great. And even just remove it for a month.
Yeah, for a month. Yeah. Sounds simple.
It does sound simple, doesn't it?
Sounds really simple. I've tried it many times.
You've made a huge pivot in your life and you are still a few years away from being 50.
5 years, yes.
That's a few.
Yes.
What's one thing you still want to try before you're 50?
It was always going to be business before I was 50. I knew I loved business. I loved the mechanics of business and I want to, I have plans for growth.
Yeah.
I don't do anything in halves. Everything I do is quite extreme. I'm obsessed with what I'm doing now. I think about it morning, night. I wake up during the night and write notes and work, and I want to see how far I can take that.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, because I want to show my kids what I'm capable of, and I also want to show myself.
Yeah. I think that's the big one, show yourself.
Yeah.
I honestly do. You had such an incredible journey.
Yeah.
I think this is for you.
This is for me now.
It is for you.
It sounds selfish, but there'll be byproducts for my kids. and they will see me working hard, and they'll see the persistence and the resilience and the qualities that I want to example for them.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. And what is if someone's sitting on the fence about taking a big leap or starting something new, what's the one thing you would say to them now?
Take small steps. Take the first step. Just try it. Dip a toe in. For me, it was the study online. I thought, okay, I'll do this module. I broke it down to that. I'll do a module a week. And then I still, it took me a few weeks to actually get into it. But you're not going to know unless you put yourself through it or take that first step.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to work for you or not.
Yeah. And you know what? Even if you take the first step and it's not right.
Yes.
That's okay.
I took many of those first steps, in lots of different things. But this one just feels right.
Yeah.
And I think instinctively you'll know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
Listen
so
to your gut.
Yeah, that is it. It is interesting, even just seeing you now versus when you were trying to find out what you wanted to do.
Yes.
You just seem content.
Yes. I've stepped, and that's what my husband keeps saying. I've stepped into myself.
You definitely have.
Such a fucking great feeling.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just pretended for 20 years and now that was exhausting.
This is a different type of exhausting.
This is exhausting, that it's not as exhausting as trying to fit the mold of something that you're not.
Yes. I think that's it. It is, fitting the mold of what you're not.
Yes.
And finding your feet and finding something that you love.
Yes.
Such a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Talitha.
Yes.
This has been such a great chat. We've covered everything.
Yes.
From career pivot.
Yes.
Reinvention, sobriety, making smart choices with whatever diamond you pick.
Yes.
And stepping into something new. But before we wrap up, I have one last question, which is...
It's going to be a big question, isn't it?
It's not really, don't worry. If I could try just one thing before I hit 50, something to shake it up, get me out of autopilot, try something different, be bold, what do you think I should do?
That's a hard one because you've been in business. You're pretty much sober.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hard one. What should you do?
Can't run marathons. I've done that and my knees are now done.
Shot.
Thanks, Benny.
Come and work with me.
Yeah.
Come and work with me. That's what you should do. I will shake your life up, baby.
No. I will shake your life up.
Great.
Leave me.
Great. I love being shaken up. I like the excitement. That is the best possible thing you can do, Dominic.
Great. Yeah, let's see. I can help you. Anyway. Okay, good. I like that. That's a good one. That is a good one. Just another person to support you in your quest to take over the world in smarter choices.
Smart luxury, baby.
Smart luxury. Exactly. Okay. All right, Talitha, this has been incredible, as it always is to see you. And thank you for sharing your story and all the ins and outs and the lessons and the ways that we can all step into change with confidence, because you have definitely done that. And I do think that you are you now, and you've found you, which is amazing. Like, it's absolutely amazing to see. And if there's one thing I'm taking out of this, it's that reinvention is not starting over. It's about stepping fully into what it's meant to be you, which is what you're doing. And that means backing yourself, trusting the pivot, and making choices that align with the life you actually want. And if you've loved this conversation, make sure you check out The Cut. It's not just jewellery, it's a smarter way to buy diamonds and a brand that is actually reshaping the industry. If you have enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe, share it with your friends, and connect on socials. And before you go, why don't you all come and work with Talitha, or at least buy something from Talitha? Do something bold, back yourself, and take the leap, because fuck, we're nearly 50. And isn't it amazing?